Every single day, people walked right past him without even seeing him. To them, he was just another Bagheera, faceless part of the city. He'd sit there on the cold sidewalk near the subway, wrapped in a torn brown jacket, holding a paper cup with just a few coins clinking inside. Some people would quickly look away, avoiding eye contact at all costs. Others would frown, maybe even whisper to their friends, "He should just get a job." No one knew his name, but he had one. His name was Daniel Carter, and once upon a time, he had dreamed big dreams. This was the man everyone ignored. Daniel sat in that exact same spot every single morning before the sun even came up. He'd watch the city wake up around him, cars rushing by, people glued to their phones, life moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. He watched all these people chasing their dreams, while his own felt like they were buried deep under a mountain of regret. Every time a coin dropped into his cup, it made this dull, quiet sound. It wasn't loud, it wasn't proud. It was just enough to be a constant reminder of how far he had fallen. You see, 5 years ago, Daniel wasn't here. He had a steady job. He had a small apartment. He even had a family photo hanging on his wall. But then, life hit him. And it hit him hard. First a layoff. Then came the rejection letters, one after another. Then the debt started piling up. And then a heavy, suffocating depression set in. Slowly but surely, he stopped believing in himself. Thoughts like, "I'm not smart enough," or "it's too late for me," or "I'm just broken," became his reality. Those thoughts built a prison around him, and he couldn't see a way out. One day, everything changed. It was a cold afternoon, and a woman stopped right in front of him. She wasn't rushing. She didn't just toss a coin in his cup and walk away. She looked him right in the eyes. "Hi," she said, her voice soft and kind. "What's your name?" Daniel was completely stunned. Nobody ever asked for his name. He hesitated for a moment, then mumbled, "Daniel. Daniel." "I'm Emily," she said with a warm smile. And then she did something unbelievable. She sat down right there beside him, on the cold, dirty sidewalk. Daniel immediately felt a wave of embarrassment. "You don't have to do that," he started to say, but she just cut him off gently. "I want to," she insisted. She handed him a sandwich and a hot coffee, but it was so much more than just food. She gave him her time, her attention, and for the first time in years, he felt seen. They just talked. They talked about life, about dreams, about all the fears that hold us back. And then, Emily asked him a question that completely stopped him in his tracks. A question that would echo in his mind long after she was gone. She looked at him with genuine curiosity and asked, "Daniel, what do you believe about yourself?" He just let out a bitter laugh, the weight of his reality crashing down. He didn't have an answer. Or maybe he was just too afraid to say it out loud. This one question started a small spark inside him. What do I believe about myself? For years, he had only believed the negative things, the lies he told himself. But Emily's question planted a new seed. What if he could believe something different? That night, Daniel didn't just see the coins in his cup. He saw a choice. The next day, he walked into a public library. He started reading. He started learning. He started remembering the man he used to be. It wasn't easy. Some days, the old thoughts would creep back in, but he kept going, fueled by that one simple question. Weeks turned into months. Daniel got a haircut. He found some clean clothes at a shelter. He started applying for jobs again, this time with a flicker of hope in his eyes. He got rejected, of course. Many times, but this time was different. He didn't see rejection as proof of his failure. He saw it as part of the process. And then, one day, he got a call. It was a small job, washing dishes at a local diner. But to Danilit, it felt like he had just won the lottery. It was a start. It was a second chance. Today, Daniel isn't on that sidewalk anymore. He has a small apartment again. The work's hard. Is miles. Sometimes, he walks past that old subway station and sees someone else sitting in his old spot. And he stops. All it takes is one person, one question, to change a life. It reminds us that our beliefs about ourselves shape our reality. So let me ask you this. Daniel sat on the cold pavement, his sign reading "Anything helps." A young woman named Emily stopped, but not to give him money. She looked him in the eye and asked, "What's the biggest lie you tell yourself?" He was taken aback, then mumbled, "That I failed." Emily shook her head. "No, you failed once. That doesn't mean you are a failure." Her words hit him harder than hunger ever did. Before she left, she said one last thing. "Your situation is not your identity. Change your mindset, and your life will follow." Then she walked away. Daniel sat frozen. Those words echoed in his mind all night. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. For years, he had blamed the world, the economy, people, bad luck, but he never questioned his own thinking. He realized something painful. He had stopped trying not because he couldn't, but because he believed he wasn't worthy. The next morning, something changed. Not his clothes, not his location, but his thoughts. Instead of thinking, "I'm hopeless," he whispered to himself, "What if I'm not?" That small question felt dangerous and incredibly powerful. So, Daniel made a decision. Just one. Every morning, before asking for money, he would do one thing to improve himself. Day 1. He washed his face and combed his hair with his fingers. Day 2. He cleaned his old jacket as best he could. Day 3. He stood straighter, making eye contact instead of looking down. A few more people started to notice. Coins dropped into his cup, a little more often. But more importantly, Daniel felt something he hadn't felt in years. A flicker of dignity. He started spending his afternoons at the public library, not just for warmth, but to read. He devoured free books on self-improvement. He watched motivational videos on the library's old computers. He was learning again, rebuilding his mind one idea at a time. Each day, his mindset shifted. He went from feeling like a victim to being a student. He moved from hopeless to learning. He started to see possibilities where he once saw dead ends. One afternoon, a man named Robert stopped in front of him. "You seem different," Robert said, his brow furrowed. "You don't look defeated." Daniel, surprised, found himself telling his story about Emily's words, his small daily changes, and his time at the library. Robert listened intently. When Daniel finished, Robert said, "I own a small printing business. I can't offer you much, but I need help with cleaning and organizing. It's a start." Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. A chance. Not a guarantee, but a real chance. He showed up early the next day. He worked harder than anyone else. He learned quickly, asking questions, and always doing more than was asked. Robert noticed his dedication. Months went by. Daniel moved from cleaning floors to learning the printing machines. He saved every penny he could. He got a small apartment. He bought new clothes. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was building a life. 1 year later, Daniel walked down that same street, but this time in a clean suit. He saw a young man sitting where he once sat, head down, a sign in his hands. Daniel stopped. Have you ever felt completely stuck, like your situation was impossible to change? This is the story of Daniel, a man who lost everything. His business failed, his home was gone, and he found himself sleeping in a subway station, begging for loose change. Every day was a cycle of despair. People would walk by, ignoring him, and each rejection chipped away at his spirit. He felt invisible, defined only by his failure. One rainy afternoon, a well-dressed man stopped, but not to give him money. Instead, he knelt down and looked Daniel in the eyes. Your situation, aside, calmly, is not your identity. He handed Daniel a crisp bill and a note that read, "Change your mindset, and your life will follow." For the first time in months, Daniel felt a flicker of something other than shame. He looked at the note again and again. Change your mindset. The words echoed in his head. That night, instead of wallowing in self-pity, Daniel made a decision. He used the money to buy a simple meal and a notebook. He started writing down not what he had lost, but what he could still do. He listed his skills, his past successes, no matter how small. The next day, he used the remaining money to get a haircut and clean his clothes at a public laundry. He looked for day labor jobs, anything to get back on his feet. It was grueling work. He faced rejection after rejection, but he held on to the stranger's words. He worked hard and stayed late. Every mistake he treated as a lesson months passé. Daniel moved from the subway station into a shared room. He saved every dollar he could, slowly rebuilding his confidence. But the biggest change wasn't his bank account. It was his internal monologue. He stopped saying, "I can't," and started asking, "How can I?" One evening, Daniel stood in front of a mirror and barely recognized the man looking back. He had the same face, but his eyes were different. They were eyes that believed in possibility. It was then he realized something profound. Life didn't change first. His mindset did. And then life followed suit. A year later, Daniel was walking past that same subway station. He saw another man sitting in his old spot, holding a paper cup, head bowed in defeat. Daniel stopped, his heart aching with recognition. He bought some warm food and sat down beside him. "Hi," Daniel said gently. "What's your name?" The man looked up, surprised. "Mike," he mumbled. Daniel smiled and handed him the food. Then he spoke the words that had once saved him. "Your situation is not your identity. Change your mindset, and your life will follow." Tears welled up in Mike's eyes. As Daniel walked away, his own heart was full. He had come full circle, not just to escape his past, but to light the way for someone else. This story isn't just about Daniel. It's about you and me, and anyone who has ever felt trapped. You don't need perfect conditions to start over. You just need a new perspective. Your past does not define you. Your mistakes do not own you. The moment you decide to change the way you think is the moment you change the entire direction of your life. If this story resonated with you, remember to believe in yourself, especially when it feels like no one else does. Change your mindset before you ask life to change for you, because the smallest thoughts can lead to the biggest transformations. If this inspired you today, please like this video and subscribe for more stories that can change your life. Let me know in the comments what S1 mindset you're ready to change, starting right now. Because the truth is simple. Change your mindset, and you will change your life. Thanks for watching.